This episode is sponsored today by the book 10 Tips on How to Survive Your Parents' Divorce. This book was written by kids. It's for kids. It's a coloring book. When you have a tragedy of divorce and you have young children who do not know how to express themselves, this coloring book, 10 Tips on How to Survive Your Parents' Divorce, is the coloring book for them. Pick it up today at blendingthefamily.com or even on Amazon. 10 Tips on How to Survive Your Parents' Divorce. Again, written by kids, for kids. It's 0542. What does the O stand for? Oh my God, it's early for you. Good morning, Vietnam fans. Oh my gosh. Let me just start off saying, let me get the seatbelt on, pull out. All right, here we go. Welcome to another edition of Blending the Family, the podcast, a.k.a. podcasting while driving. I've got a few things on my mind, but let me just finish that original thought. And that thought was, I got into the world of corporate training because of Robin Williams and watching Dead Poet Society. That movie literally changed my life. What was that TV show? Ted? How I Met Your Mother. Ted and his... Literally, Robin. Literally. It's a little bit of a running joke in our household. Welcome, again. Blending Family Podcast. Tommy Maloney. The host with the most... I don't know what... Do you get up so early in the morning where by the time you're getting ready to leave, you're already ready for a nap? That's how I feel right now. And I had a point. Oh, where was my point? I did not have relations with that woman. Maybe it is. I don't know if I need more sleep or lack of sleep or what's going on, but I guess, let's see, oh gosh, everything sounds so good in my head before I hit the record button on my phone, and it's just like, bleh. What are you thinking, Tommy? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to say, is, well, let's talk. There's a few things that we can talk about. Number one, blending family over on the Instagram. Please check out the Instagram feed. It's you'll see I've started to add a couple more videos. So if you really want to know what this ugly mug looks like, you can find me on LinkedIn too and see that ugly mug. But anyway, so here's a topic. I had a job interview the other day. Tommy, can you really say that? Aren't you afraid that your dreaded day job will find out? And this is the light bulb just went on. This is what the point was. And the title of this point is called, Would You Fire Yourself? Okay, think about that. Would you fire yourself? Had this job interview. It went really well as far as making a new connection with somebody, a gentleman named Scott. And Scott was brutally honest and said, yeah, we're not going to hire you because you've got a wonderful resume. Obviously you know how to teach and train people. You're a public speaker. However, I didn't have enough of the technical background that they needed for this person to immediately hit the ground running. He wasn't afraid that I couldn't do a sales aspect, but it was the technical aspect. And, it was nice. It was nice to just hear brutal honesty, because you've gone through this. I'm sure you've gone through it, and that is, you send out your resume. I call it the black hole. You send out your resume, and maybe 30 years ago, I would say, you actually had people looking at the resume. Now it's all HR software that analyzes the keywords, and if you've ever been on LinkedIn, you'll see a lot of articles of people talking about resume writing and how you need keywords, which is true. You really do need keywords that reflect what the job description is all about. When you don't do that, that's where your resume is going to go into the black hole. But there are times where even if you have the keywords, you might not just have, you might actually have spelling mistakes, and they'll catch that too. So there you go. A little life lesson for the world of job seekers is to make sure you have, and if you do your own resume, make sure you have somebody read it. At least 2 people read your resume to make sure that there are no spelling mistakes, because that's embarrassing. I sent out a great resume, and it turns out that you have spelling mistakes. Scott was brutally honest, telling me that he wasn't going to hire me, but it was a great conversation because the day before I called in to work, I called in sick. I needed a mental day. Have you ever done that? Do you honestly take mental days? I find them useful, very useful. And I don't know about you. I don't know what type of commute. And if you're like my friend Sarah, my gosh, I'm so jealous of my friend Sarah. Sarah works for a tech company, but she gets to work from home. And then she also gets to travel to great cities like San Francisco. I love San Francisco. But I digress. And that is, so Scott was, telling me that, not going to hire me, but, he said, and he was very blunt about it, and I loved it. This was a great conversation. And like I said, I took a mental day just to start preparing. Part of it was preparing for the job interview. It was a very informal job interview. Matter of fact, we met at a coffee shop and we just talked. I wish more job interviews were like that, not so uppity. Maybe that's something your company could start. Just relaxed atmosphere. Don't do it on site. Do it somewhere else, and just have honest conversations. I think that's a life lesson right there. We all should be having honest conversations with our significant other, with our kids. Anyway, so I took a mental day, and so sitting there with Scott, and he said, if you could write your script, what would that script look like? And I could feel it. Just be honest. And I did. I told him, I said, I don't want to work for a company. I want to work for myself. I want to stand by. I got to change lanes and work for myself, write for myself, developing content that's going to be produced for major publications, continue the podcast, have sponsorship, major sponsorship for the podcast, where I would be like my friend Sarah and work from home and occasionally do some speaking events. Wink, wink. San Francisco. Love San Francisco. Where else? Never been to Austin, Texas. Would love to speak at South by Southwest. I need to add that to my bucket list. I actually do have one. I do. I have it's a yellow notepad somewhere in the home office of a yellow notepad of all the things that I want to achieve. Maybe I need to bust that out. I should take a picture of that. Oh my God, thank you. You gave me a great idea. I should take a picture of that. Oh, sorry, construction zone again. Hopefully they'll have this road done by summer. I should take a picture of my bucket list and post it on Instagram. That's what I should do. All right. Australia is that, Austin, Texas, South by Southwest. These are some of the things. South by Southwest is something I need to add to my bucket list. Anyway, I always forget where I'm going. But what does your script look like? What is it? And it's really funny because as he was sitting there asking me, I'll never forget, I used to be in this Toastmaster club. If you're not familiar, I can speak English. If you're not familiar with Toastmasters, go on whatever search engine. All right, let's not lie. So go Google Toastmasters and find a Toastmaster club in your area. A lot of times I'll give a free plug for Toastmasters, and a lot of times people say when other people ask, well, what is Toastmasters? And a lot of the common answer is, it's an organization help you with public speaking. But as one of my favorite comedians would say, John Pignette, nay. Oh my gosh, the police are out this morning. And I'm on a road that's not like a major road. It's like it goes through farm country here in Colorado. And I just saw a police officer come off another farming type road, and it looks like they're pulling somebody over. So we better be careful that we don't. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, Toastmasters for me is more about time management skills versus public speaking skills, and they incorporate into it. Okay, this is going to be interesting. So, police officer has this person pulled over, and unfortunately, like I said, it's a farming area, so there's not a lot of road to be pulled over. So, it would be really funny, and not funny in a good way, if I accidentally hit the police car that's in the road who has the person pulled over. Oh, it's a truck. It was a work truck. Anyway, back to the program. After these commercial messages, so Toastmasters is, in my opinion, about working on time management skills, which is part of public speaking, because if you do a presentation, you have a certain time frame to do that presentation, be it 5 minutes, be it 20, be it 30. But that's why I always tell people, in my opinion, Toastmasters is more about time management. Okay. I was in this Toastmaster club, and one of the members who really didn't like me. And I think this is one of those things where if you're a cat person and you're a dog person, there's going to be clashes. And that's what this was. She was a cat person, I'm a dog person, and we just did not get along. As a matter of fact, one time she was giving a speech and she kind of put a dig towards me, and people, it was like that old E.F. Hutton commercial where everybody looked at me, and I'm like, hello. But she was having a frustration finding work, and I said to her, what is your normal daily schedule? She goes, well, what do you mean? I said, write down what an average your daily schedule is. What time you get up, breakfast, what time you leave for work, what time you get. Write down your daily schedule. Then flip that paper over. Flip it over. And write down the schedule you want to have. And this is a coaching lesson for you. I'm giving you this information. And when Scott was asking me about, what is my script look like, the perfect script, I started thinking about, that exercise of what does my daily schedule look like. And after, let me tell you this real quick. After I met with Scott, traffic is brutal today. After I met with Scott, we had talked for a good hour, and I didn't expect that long. So I did the next best thing, and that was calling sick for a second day. Yeah. Mental days, part 1 and part 2. That's what I did. I was very inspired after this informal job interview. And what I did was I went home. I already had a podcast I had to produce. It was Frida the Frog author, Nadine Haruni. And that episode needed to, like I said, I had to put it all together, put the production elements in, my voice guy stuff, and I love doing that. I love, until somebody tells me to shut the hell up, I love doing this. I love, I don't know if you get anything out of it. I get something out of it. Maybe it's a little bit of therapy as I'm driving and get to say things out loud that are just things. Anywho, came home after that meeting and just was productive. I was majorly productive. I not only got the podcast put together, I got my weekly article, my weekly column for the Good Men Project taken care of. I am going to also tell you that I haven't done any content writing for it yet. I'm working on a piece right now. I've signed up to start producing content on Medium. I've heard great things about Medium. If you're not familiar with it, it's what's his name? He's one of the co-founders of Twitter. He created Twitter, Blogger, and Medium. And I'm super excited to join Medium and see what happens. Because I can take things that don't pertain to, like, for example, this Driving While podcasting really doesn't pertain to blending families or divorce. It could, if one of these times I talk about that could be, but this is where in the back of my mind to maybe one day make this a separate podcast and separate logo and all that. So that's a possibility. But with Medium, I can use that platform to talk about other things or write about other things other than parenting, divorce, maybe just rants. Just go on a full frontal rant. It's coffee time. Yeah, I can feel it in my voice. By the way, excellent coffee this morning. I do say so for myself. Maybe a little watery. All right. So, came home, very productive, and this goes back to an original point. Tommy, you had a point originally? Yes. The original point was, would you fire yourself? Okay. If you're at a job, and I know it's not that easy to do this, to leave your job, unless you already have a job. And for me personally, don't tell my wife this, I am ready to leave the job. And I would fire myself. I would have fired myself a long time ago. Now, it also parallels to gratitude. I am grateful to have the job. I know it doesn't sound like it, but I really, really, truly am. I am very grateful to have this job. It was funny, I was having a conversation with my dad the other night, and he was talking about a time where he worked at this company for a week, And he knew it, they knew it, that he wasn't going to last long. And like I said, he was there for a week, and after a week he called and said, yeah, this isn't working out. And the owner said, yeah, we know. So there are times where you have to face reality and go, this just is not for me. And I really, really wish I had the cojones and to figure out how to do it. And when I say how to do it, how to market my own stuff and how to leverage my own stuff. I'm really good. I've talked to other people and I've helped other people. A friend of mine, Jamila, I helped her. She's now a published author. She did all the work. I will tell you that. She did all the work when I coached her. But I in the back of my mind, I know I helped her become a published author. So I know how to do it. It's just doing it, right? It's just, that cliche of just ripping off the Band-Aid and just doing it. So for you, would you fire yourself? I was watching a YouTube video. One of the apps on my phone is Entrepreneur Magazine. And they posted a video. And the guy's name that was being interviewed, his name is Yahya Bakr. And I know I'm screwing up both first and last name, but Yahya, I think, I'm trying to remember, he said that it means in his language alive. I think that's, anyway, I'll post the video, the YouTube video link in the show notes. But this young guy was talking about how he was in college and he was in college for, I believe he was going to be a doctor of like sports medicine type doctor, which is ironic. That was my major in college, and I can't dissect without throwing up, which is true. And from there, I became a theater major, never took a theater class, and then got into radio. But Yahya, he was sitting in class one day, and he realized this was not the life for him. He realized that he was on the wrong path. And I'm using my words, not his words. And he quit. He quit college, went back home, told his dad what he did, and instead of a fatherly, loving help, struggling for those words, what would, or even a fatherly embrace, his dad said, "Get out of my house. Unless you're going to go back to school, get out of my house." So he left and went to a friend's house. And as he said in the video, he just went to the friend's house crying, didn't know what to do. And his friend said to him, and Yahya, it just sounded like, even he said in the video, it was the dumbest idea he'd ever heard. But his friend said, "You should be a life coach and a speaker." And Yahya said, again, "That is the dumbest idea I've ever heard." But here's his friend who who saw something in him to say, this is what you should be doing. And it goes back to my conversation with the job interview with Scott, when he told me that you need to figure out a way to monetize your passion. You need to figure out how to write your script. And that was just validation. Maybe that's what that was. That was validation. And going back to Yaya, maybe that's his own validation. He didn't know it at the time that was his calling. But his friend put that thought into his head because he saw something in his friend. And that's what friends are really for, to tell you the good stuff and the bad stuff. You might have heard me talk about it, a couple of my mentors. One is my good friend Denise. And Denise is one of those friends who tells me how it is. She tells me how it is. And I told her one of my goals, and she put me on the mat, so to speak, and said, okay, let's break it on down. Let's break this goal down. And where are you at this month? And where are you at? And I'm like, oh crap, I really didn't think about. I wrote the goal down. I wrote it down in my journal, but I didn't really break the goal down. I didn't the steps to get there, and I'm running out of time on that goal. But again, not just friends, but I'm also going to say the word mentor as well. That's something I highly recommend for you to seek out. Is that gas station changed. It was a Shell gas station, now it's an Exxon. Sorry. Squirrel. Mentors. You need really good friends in your life, and you need really good mentors in your life. Okay? Seek out mentorship. Okay? These are the people that could be somebody at work. It could be somebody that you saw maybe on Instagram. But in my opinion, there's two different mentors. There's the mentors that you can build relationships with, and there's mentors. So, for example, I find not everybody's a huge fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm a huge fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. I consider him a mentor, even though I've never met him. I've read his content. I've seen his videos. Have a couple of his books. I consider him a mentor, even though, again, we've never met. Find people that not necessarily you want to be like, because you should be your own self. You know, everybody talks about the next great Michael Jordan, the next great Wayne Gretzky, the next great Russell Wilson. You know, I couldn't think of any good Chicago Bear quarterbacks, or, well, Dick Butkus. Anyway, moving on. There is no next great. Okay? You are the next great of your own self. Find mentorship. Okay? If you're in a situation such as my example of going to a job you despise, figure out your exit strategy. Okay? That's my own personal struggle. Okay? Is figuring out my exit strategy. And that's why I ask for things such as needing downloads on the podcast, reading ratings and reviews on however you get this podcast. It is very important as podcasters because we can use that information, we can use that data for potential sponsorship. And without your help, I can't help you, if that makes sense. So that's why I ask for that. And that's something else I'm very, very not good at, is asking for help. Because I've ran into, and maybe you have too, I've ran into it where I've asked for help. An example, so you're at work, you ask somebody for help, they say, oh, it's easy, just do this, this, and this. And you go back to your desk, and you're more frustrated because, number one, it's easy for them, but in that situation, you don't have enough experience to say to yourself, oh, they're right, it is easy. But it's also the point of they didn't come with you back to your desk to show you how to do it. It's like when you walk into some type of retail store, you say, hey, where's the cereal? Oh, it's in aisle 5. And they just point you instead of showing you, taking you. You know, in the past I worked at a local liquor store, and that was my frustration with my coworkers. If somebody would say, hey, where's the tequila? Oh, it's right around the corner. And I would be like, no, let me show you where it's at. That's what customer service is. There's something called internal customer service and external customer service. So when you're at work, your coworkers, you're part of internal customer service. You have customers, those are your external customer service. So internal, your coworkers, external are your customers. So that's one of the biggest things. When I was a trainer, I would explain to people, talk about internal and external customer service, which is important in everyday life. Trust me on that one. Okay? All right. What is your script? What does your script look like? Would you fire yourself today? If so, what is your exit strategy? Start thinking of your exit strategy. If you're not happy, and maybe this is me talking to myself as well, if you're not happy with your life, with your job, with family, how are you going to change it today? What does that look like? What are you going to do instead of, from the book, Who Moved My Cheese, hemming and hawing? What are you going to do to execute and make a simple change in your life that's going to impact your greatness? Ooh, you should write that down. That was a powerful statement right there. You should write that down. Okay? Find some mentorship, be it on YouTube, be it on LinkedIn. Maybe there's a Facebook group you need to. Here's some homework for you. Start your own Facebook group. Here's why. It's going to show leadership on your part, and it's also going to show servitude. How can you serve others? And I think I should take my own advice. I'm going to definitely take my own advice. Okay? So in the next 24 hours, start your own Facebook group. It could be on anything, okay? But serve others. And if you're similar to me as far as being an introvert, and you really don't like having to go out to networking events, this is another way to network, okay? This is a really good way to network because you can control who comes into your group and who doesn't, okay? Now, I've given you a lot. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear what changes you have made in the next 24 hours of listening to this episode. Okay? Email address, Tommy@blendingthefamily.com. Tommy@blendingthefamily.com. Tell me what you did. One thing. What one thing you did to change your life. Was it creating the Facebook group? Was it writing down your daily schedule, flipping it over, and writing the schedule you want? Was it going on LinkedIn for the first time? Or was it going on YouTube and watching a video of somebody that you find that could be a great mentor? All right? There you go. Please, as I said earlier, please, however you receive this podcast, comment, rate it, please. Thank you for doing that. Okay? Now, don't do this at home. I need to stop. I want to say stop the tape. Oh, gosh. I cracked myself up.